Committee meeting on September 5th at 4:00 p.m. to order. May I have roll call, please?
Benajak.
Present.
Radke. Here. Nemeth. Here. Smollett. Here. Herrick.
Move to excuse.
Support.
Poyer.
Present.
Bigick.
There.
Quorum present.
Thank you. One more rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Is there any changes to the agenda? See, now we're going to move to, is there approval of the agenda?
Motion approved.
Support.
Is there any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? See none. Motion carries. I need a motion for the minutes of 8/1 of 23.
I'll move them.
Support.
Is there any changes, corrections?
No.
See none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? See none. Motion carries. Minutes have been approved. At this time is for public input. Is there anyone who is interested to come up to the podium? You have 3 minutes. You can write your name down if you want. It's up to you.
Jerry Pott, Williams Township Clerk, Charter Township Clerk, and out there. I'm come here to, hopefully for all the clerks in Bay County and in the cities. We are supportive of the 9 days early voting as a joint venture here, maybe at the Civic Center, wherever it may be. We need this. We can't do it on our own. It would be very costly for the township, maybe $90,000 to do this 9 days of early voting. And if we do it jointly, the costs are much cheaper. And we're willing to bring this contract that might come of this today, after these 2 meetings, to our board to pass on. And what we need to pass on to the board, township boards, that if the clerk is not in place, either through illness or resigning or whatever, it goes to the township board to run these elections. It does not go back to the county clerk. Nobody seems to recognize that, and they just pass it off, you know. But it is a duty of the township board to run these elections. If the clerk is not there, if I quit or resign or die, it's up to the township board to run. So the township boards need to know all these rules and regulations and be trained on these elections so that they can step in and take over, you know. And don't point the finger at me and say, hey, you know, you got to do it, you know. But she's good enough to put this procedure together, and as one clerk, and hopefully all the other clerks, we're here to support this issue and hope the board here will support it also in the Ways and Means Committee and in the special meeting so that we can move forward, because in December, there's going to be postcards going. We have a lot of work in December of 2023 getting ready for the presidential primary in February of 2024. So that's all I have to say. I hope the board has reviewed this and are supportive of the proposal that you have before you, and that we can get this resolved today. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to speak from this commission?
Good afternoon. My name is Terry Spencer, 26 Poon Drive, Bay City. I'm the Monitor Township Supervisor, and also the chairperson on the Bay County Brownfield Redevelopment Authority. I'd also like to kind of go along with some of the comments from the Williams Township Clerk. Very thankful to Katie for all the effort she's put into this, and I think it's a good idea, and it's another good show of joint cooperation. And we need this because it is going to be expensive, so at least on the township side. And I also would just like to say, as the chairperson of the Brownfield Redevelopment Authority, obviously we have some stuff in consideration. Thank you to Laura Olgar for all her hard work that she's done on this. It was amazing how quickly that from when the board was developed to how quickly everything went through EGLE. I called EGLE and I thanked them for, because sometimes things don't go so fast in the state of Michigan. And this went wonderful. This is going to be a great, another small chunk of the pie for investment in our community. And I hope that the board takes consideration, moves forward with this. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Terry. Is there anyone else? Going once? Going twice? Public input is closed. Thank you, everyone. Okay, petitions and communications. A presentation by James Spiegel from the Bay Arenac Behavioral Health regarding mobile response team. I need a motion.
Motion?
Support.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed, none. Motion carries. James? Yes.
Hello, I'm James Spiegel. I'm the Mobile Response Team Supervisor for Arenac Behavioral Health. Here to give a presentation today about the Mobile Response Team, what we do and what we're here to offer for our county. Perfect. Okay, so today we're just going to talk about what we are, who MRT serves, what happens after someone calls us, our follow-up, and the partnership we've had with the police so far, and moving forward. MRT, the Mobile Response Team, is a team of 2 clinicians. They go out to someone who needs help in crisis, they go to the home, they go to the school, the community, and they provide support. That's some de-escalation, that's some assessment. They help people stay in the community. That's their goal. We don't want to send people away, we don't want to send them to the hospital, we don't want to send them anywhere else if we don't have to. Our goal is to keep people here where they can get better without their supports. And then if we do end up sending someone to the hospital, we're there when they get out. So if they go for 3 days instead of the normal 7 because they know they have us to support them when they get out, that is an accomplishment as well, because that's less time in the hospital, sooner that we're getting out and taking care of things at home. So then when we arrive at the scene, we're going to identify what's going on, who needs help, who's around to support that person. We're going to assess the situation, make sure everyone's still safe, we can take care of the situation. Provide some intervention by de-escalating the person, empowering those people around them to make sure that they can have their support. And then we're going to stabilize the situation. Before we leave, we're going to leave with a resolution. What is going to happen for this person to keep them at home or get them where they need to go? Who's eligible? Anyone, as long as they're in Bay and Arenac County. That's the beauty of the program. There's no catch. There's no, you have to have this insurance, you have to be this age. Up until today, we were only doing up to age 20, but now as of today, we're opening it to everybody. Anybody in the Bay and Arenac counties, no matter what your age is. You don't have to be open to our services, you don't have to be open to any private people, it can just be anyone who's in a mental health crisis. And then, crisis is a broad word, so we let the individual or the caregiver, whoever's calling on the behalf of, identify crisis. If they say, hey, we need somebody out here to support us because we don't know how to handle this, we're going to go out there and find out what's going on, rather than try to keep them on the phone or try to figure out a way out of it. We're just going to go. We're going to go see those people because that's what we're here for. For adults, the criteria is reasonable expectations within the near future to hurt themselves or someone else, intentionally or unintentionally. So they could say they're going to hurt someone else, or they could be in some kind of acute psychosis that might result in them hurting themselves on accident or someone else on accident. Judgment is impaired. They don't understand a need for treatment. They don't understand why treatment would be helpful. We can present to the scene to help figure out what the next step is to get them to treatment. And then if their behavior is not looked at and not treated, that might come to physical harm as well. For kids under 21, we have to have consent from a parent if they're under the age of 18. So that's either a verbal consent over the phone, 2 clinicians have to hear it, and then we can go to that kid and help them out, whether it's at school, it's at home, a playground, out in the community, at a Myers parking lot. We can go to any of those places. The parent and the caregiver identifies the crisis. If they feel like they can't handle this child and they need our support, we go to them and we help. And again, they have to be reasonable expectation that they're going to harm themselves or others intentionally or unintentionally. They're throwing things. Maybe they're not throwing things at people, but they're throwing things that could hurt somebody, intentionally or unintentionally. Risky behaviors, opening car doors while driving, running in traffic, things like that are other reasons we might present to a scene. Who is not appropriate for MRT? So I mentioned psychosis earlier, and that's within the bounds of, can they hold a conversation? Yes, they might see something else going on, But if they still hold the conversation, we can still come help. We can still help figure out where they have to go. But they're so delusional, hallucinating to the point where they can't understand what is real and what's not real. Well, that's a point where we might not be able to intervene, and we might have to go to the 911 or something of that nature. Anyone who has physical aggression or has attempted suicide, they need medical care. So we're not medical providers, we're not going to be able to treat wounds, things like that. Anyone who's actively under the influence of alcohol or drugs, typically not in the right frame of mind, really hard to talk to somebody who's heavily using. And then if they're just calling because they need housing, that's not a mental health crisis. It does involve some mental health, but it's not a mental health crisis. So typically we try to give those to our partners in the community who handle housing. Who can refer to us? The broad scope is anybody. Anybody can call us at any time. It could be you, it can be your loved one, it could be a police officer, it could be 911, it could be the person in crisis, schools, therapists. The goal is that we're available to everyone and that anyone can call. So when you do call, you're going to call into our 895-2300 number, and that's going to be triaged by a staff at Arenac Behavioral Health. So they're going to talk to you for a second and see what is going on. Is this something we can send MRT to, or is this something that we might have to call an emergency responder? Once they spend about 30 seconds to 2 minutes with you on the phone figuring that out, we're going to head out to see you. If you're located in the city in an urban setting, we have an hour to see you. If you're out in the rural parts, we have 2 hours to get out to you. We don't get lights and things like that, so it takes a little bit longer to get where we got to go. And once we're on site, we do an assessment. You come in, we say hi, get your name, give you our name, and figure out what's going on, what led to the situation. And then we start the de-escalation process. How do we resolve this situation? What do we do to bring this down to a level where we can talk and have a conversation rather than be up here threatening ourselves or others? And we always try to make sure it's person-centered, family-driven. You know, the youth is involved, the person in crisis is involved. We want them to have a say in what's going on because when we give people a say, they're more likely to follow through with what's going on. We put in a crisis and safety plan, which is just talking about what things led you to this point and what things are going to help you to keep from getting back to this point. Some brief therapy, some education and skill building will happen from the master level clinician who presents. And then we'll do some referrals and collaboration. When we leave, you will know where to go next. Whether that's an outpatient therapist, it's a case manager, if it's coming back to us to do an access screen, or if it's going to the hospital. Follow-up care. So after we come up to see what happens. It's not a one-size-fits-all. We don't just say, oh, talk to you in 7 days. If you're open and you're an active consumer, we let your case manager know, your therapist know, whoever's providing your treatment know, so they can reach out to you the next day. And then we also follow up the next day to make sure that crisis stayed resolved and that you're not ending up, again, elevated. If you're not open to us, we're going to follow up the next day and provide a 24-hour referral. That referral goes out to another agency and then they follow their referral guidelines. But then we continue to have contact with you afterwards. If you're someone who's open and you're struggling, we're going to keep having contact 3 days, 4 days, 7 days, just to make sure you're not falling through the cracks, make sure you're not suffering through another crisis without help. We've been working with law enforcement. You know, we've been doing ride-alongs, we've been contacting them, we've been meeting them in the emergency room. We've just been trying to engage with law enforcement to help diminish the demand on them. We try to take people off their hands when they work through the emergency room doors because they're mental health professionals. That's not their primary role. They're there to serve the law and things like that. So we've been going on ride-alongs to go with them to help intervene in mental health crises or going instead of them so that they can spend their time doing things that they're not here to do. We've been using this as a way to divert people away from the justice system. We're also providing extra training with the police officers called crisis intervention training. You know, we've been talking with them. We have a couple officers who went. They really liked that. And then we use the police as an extra safety factor. Obviously, we don't carry weapons, we don't have vests, we don't have uniforms. So they might present to a scene first to make sure it's safe, get the weapons under control, make sure there's no violence happening, and then bring us in to resolve it in a peaceful way. And that's the bulk of the presentation. You can always contact us at the email and number listed below. The 895-2300 number is the general number for our emergency services line to get you to our crisis workers and the mobile response team. 895-2791. Get you to me. I'll be happy to answer any questions, and my email's on there as well. Thank you, everyone. I appreciate your time.
Does anybody have any questions for James?
Yes.
Yeah, so some of these situations are a little touchy. You talked about law enforcement. Are you going to get there together, or are you going to try to time the arrival? So if you were the first ones there, it could be a little, and I don't think you'd be carrying any weapons, I would imagine.
Yeah, it's a dangerous situation. We let the police handle the scene first. we don't have any weapons, we don't have any safety protocols like that. So we're gonna let them handle the scene, and then once they've taken the weapons or the weapons have been put away, whatever ends up happening, we'll be able to come up then and talk. Whether the police stay or not, depends how that first few minutes goes. You know, we want to keep everyone safe. We don't want to get hurt. We don't want that person to get hurt. So it's a back and forth we give and to take once we get there.
Thank you. I got a couple. How long has this program been going on?
Well, I came on board April of this year, but it's been running for a year, servicing youths only. Today is the day where we stepped it up to adults as well. Yeah, so a year and a half about is how long it's been running.
Is this a special funding from a grant?
Yes, yep, we had grant funding that came through the county and through the state. And then we've been supporting it as well. You know, our goal is to keep this running and healthy. So we
So
appreciate you guys' help.
Yeah, so after the grant runs out, you look for partners to continue this. Okay, all right. Anybody else? Okay, done. Thank you, James.
Thank you very much, appreciate it.
A presentation by Chris Pinter from Bay Arenac Behavioral Health regards Bay Valley Road property lease update. Motion to receive is in order.
Motion received.
Probably should wait.
Motion to receive after.
Yeah, we should do it after.
President, okay, after, okay.
These clocks are.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just wanted to touch base, and thank the commission for our appointments to our board back in April. We've got a really good board. We usually have a good board, but we've got Commissioner Nemec, we've got Commissioner Benachek, we've got Commissioner Millett, and then we've got good long-term relationships with Herrick or Begek and Keeser-Radke. So I feel like I know all of you guys. So, but don't feel like you have to treat me with kid gloves or anything. So I want to just follow up because the county got a letter from Bay Human Services, the county legal did a few weeks ago, basically saying they wanted to terminate the lease they have with the county for the property at Bay Valley. I believe it's 6050 Bay Valley Road. That is essentially a licensed foster care home that the county built, bonded and built years ago when we were moving people into the community from some of the state hospitals and things like that. So that's been a county facility for 20, 25, maybe 30 years. So I just wanted to know that Bay Human Services has asked to transition out of that arrangement. They've also asked us about transitioning out of some separate arrangements not tied to the county. So I wanted the county to know it's our intention to get another provider in there and continue to run a licensed adult foster care home out of 650 Bay Valley Road. So the county's got to they'd have to terminate the lease with Bay Human Services, which the county's not agreed to yet because of their arrangement with us. So what I would do is give the county an update maybe in a few weeks on where we're at, whether we have to extend Bay Human Services being in the past 10-1. They wanted to get out 10-1, but they can't abandon the patients and people there. They need to stay until we've worked everything out. But our intention would be to continue to have that be a licensed facility, if not with Bay Human Service, with another provider. So we wanted the county to know that because it's your property. So once the lease with Bay Human Services terminates or changes, technically the county could put it on the market or use it for something else. We don't want you to do that, but we recognize it's your property. So I'm coming to just ask at least my 3 board members to stonewall, filibuster with one other one. We'd like to keep that be a licensed AFC if we can. That's what the facility was built for. But I also recognize it's ultimately the county's decision. So we're just asking you to keep that in mind as you go forward.
Okay, thank you. Questions on the board?
Just wonder if Amber had any comments about the lease or,
We have reviewed the terms of the lease and the reasons that are applicable as to why it can be terminated, and we've asked the occupant for some further information to see whether or not it falls within those parameters, and we're still evaluating those reasons at this point.
okay.
Okay, anyone else? Okay,
Thank you.
thanks, Chris.
And I'll support.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Seeing none. Presentation was approved. Director, Department of Aging, Williams Township, Kawkawlin Township, Hampton Township, 2024 site agreements.
Support.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Seeing none. Motion carries. Environmental Affairs and Community Development, Bay County Mosquito Control, EGLE Scrap Tire Cleanup Grant.
So moved.
Support.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Seeing none, motion carries. BCATS for the year 2024, Federal Transportation Planning Funds and Asset Management Funds.
So moved.
Support.
Any discussion? Yes, Vaughn?
I just want to say it's a long process. There's a lot of paperwork for it, and Laura has had the benefit of having some good people taking care of the writing all that stuff up. It's a lot of verbiage in there, and they're quite long, and I know some of it's boilerplate, but still, it's a lot of work. Thank you.
Dominic.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, seeing none, motion carries. Brownfield Redevelopment Authority, Project Grant Award.
So moved.
Support?
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, seeing none, motion carries. The Treasurer, National Land Bank Network Summit, Treasurer's Travel Request.
So moved.
Support.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, seeing none, motion carries. Equalization Director, L 4029 2023 tax rate request.
I'll move it.
Support.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, seeing none, motion carries. The Sheriff, Public Safety Academy Assistance Program, MCOLES for the year 2023.
So moved.
Support.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, seeing none, motion carries. Blue Cross Blue Shield Inmate Services Contract.
Motion approved. Support.
Any discussion? Yes, Moss.
So I know the retiree one is going down. Is this one going down in cost to us?
It is not.
Same?
No, it is not.
Sorry, one way.
Nice try, though.
I thought we had on the roll here with them going down, but I guess not.
Anybody else? All in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, motion carries. Recreation Facilities Golf Course, budget adjustment, food supplies.
So moved.
Support.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Seeing none, motion carries. Bay Area Community Foundation Grant, playground equipment, Pinconning Park.
So moved.
Support.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Seeing none, motion carries. Personnel, 2-year renewal Medicare Advantage Pro Plan.
Motion approved. Support.
Any discussion?
This one's going down.
This one's coming, I agree with that one.
Like down. 9%, I think, 9 something, yeah.
And anybody else? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Seeing none, motion carries. County Clerk, Consolidated Early Voting Precinct, Elections Coordinator position.
I'll move it.
Support?
Any discussion? Yes, Vaughn?
I'd ask the clerk to give us a little summary.
You know, what was it, a few months ago, I gave you guys a presentation on all the changes of Proposal 2. So what we were really waiting on is how much the state might fund or the legislation that will be passed from the state, which has happened. We have gotten some guidance on funding from the state, so now we're actually ready to move forward. So what you guys are approving today is for the county clerk to enter into an agreement with all participating municipalities to allow the county clerk to, I guess, contract their early voting precinct. And what this, it really makes sense. You know, I put cost comparisons in my memo for you guys to see. If we did not have a consolidated precinct, number one, we would not get as much grant funding from the state. The state has written their legislation to encourage consolidation with jurisdictions who should consolidate, which is likely Bay County. And number two, every municipality would have to host their own precinct for 9 days of early voting on top of election day, buy new tabulators, buy new laptops, have, you know, I figured it, for a normal precinct to run, no matter what township it is, no matter if it's Gibson or Mount Forest or the city of Bay City, by law, it's 3 workers, but for someone to take a lunch, someone to take a a bathroom break, you need 5 workers. So for everyone to run a precinct like that and do it on their own, we're looking at a total cost of, I think it was $1.2 million at the end of an election cycle. So if I were to do it on my own, we're talking a few $100,000 for us all to consolidate on the purchase of equipment, election inspectors, and just go on a joint effort. So the plan right now is to host that early voting facility at the community center. And then once you guys approve the contract or the ability to enter into a contract, I'll work with the local jurisdictions to also do the same. And then us clerks can plan what that election or what that precinct actually looks like for that early voting election days. Does that answer all your questions at this time?
Yes, Tom.
Thank you. I just want to say that I think that it's really good that it's every office in Bay County, but particularly since you're up there right now, that you're getting out in front of this, before, we're not waiting till like January and say, well, we got to get something going here because we need this for the fall, or the summer. I think it's great that, that all the commissioners agree with it too, that we're just taking these steps and going ahead of everybody. I think we are. I don't know, I haven't heard of anybody else getting this done already, so congratulations to you and your staff, and putting this thing together, and away we go.
Thank you, Tom. Yes?
And, I've heard some comments about, like Gibson Township and Mount Forest, it's a long drive, but they do have other options. They can do the same-day voting, or they can do the absentee voting. So if they can't make that drive, then there's still other things they can do.
And we are open 2 weekends too. If someone works 5 days a week, they'll be able to vote on the weekends. So, yeah, I agree with you, Commissioner Begic, but at this time, I don't think it's feasible for us to have 2 different consolidated precincts.
I agree, Katie. Anyone else? Yes, Tom.
I just want to say it's a whole new adventure for everybody in the state, so it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out, and we'll know better next year, but not right now.
It'll be nice to find out if we get reimbursed from the state for this.
They have $30 million to spend for early voting throughout the state, but $30 million will go fast. Yeah, especially when you have to buy new tabulators for early voting. Yeah.
Anyone else?
Thanks, Katie.
Okay. Thank you, Katie.
Yep.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Motion carries. Finance Officer, analysis of general fund equity of 2023.
Motion received.
Support.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, say none. Motion carries. Update regarding Executive Directive 2007-11.
Motion to receive?
Support.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Seeing none, motion carries. Information Systems, OnBase Probate Court Solution Enhancements.
I'll move it.
Support.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Seeing none, motion carries. The CBI Converge Company Customer Care Agreement.
So moved.
Support.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Seeing none, motion carries. Budget adjustment, RFP 2023-07, fire protection panel replacement.
So moved.
Support.
Any discussion? Yes, Lon.
I'd ask the buildings and grounds person to explain why we need to do this, and if we don't know what happens.
Sure, absolutely. So we went out for bid for 2 different fire panel replacements plus the component units to bring us up to code. Number 1 was this building, and that was due to the elevator. When we get an elevator, in order for it to be put into active service, we're going to have a fire panel that is up to code and all the component units that are working with the elevator. That bid came in about $118,000 over what we budgeted in the 2023 budget. And then secondarily, we're replacing kind of the same thing in the law enforcement center, and that's because their panel is actually failing. And that came in about $13,000 over what we budgeted. And so therefore, putting both of these projects together, we are asking for a budget adjustment of $133,000.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, seeing none, motion carries. Payables, You got them all catched. Okay, is there any referrals? Unfinished business? Any new business? Amber, is there a need for closed session?
There's not, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Any miscellaneous? How about any announcements?
Motion adjourned.
Wait.
Yes.
Mr. Chair, one question, and I apologize if I wasn't paying attention. Did the board vote to receive payables?
No.
Yeah, right.
I was trying to find that.
Okay.
No.
Motion.
Back it out.
Okay.
Support.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Seeing none.
Goodbye.
Payables have been approved. Okay. Any announcements? None? So,
Motion to adjourn.
No,
Okay.
he's got one too.
yes, Jim.
Yeah, we just want to, I know we have four lions here in the front of the room, and I just want to remind everyone and the public as well, and our visitors today, that we have our 5th annual Pawpalooza, sponsored by the Bay City Lions Club. Sandy Sting and the great crew that she has, including all of us that will, I know, be there. It will be held at the Bay County Fairgrounds September 16th from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. We have a walkathon. It's been approved by the city. It's a 2.5K walkathon, and you can bring your pets, your cat, your dog, your favorite pet, and hopefully we'll see also there'll be a food truck on site, and also hopefully it'll be a success as the first 4 were. Typically, the organizers of the event, who are all Lions, and the Lions really turn out to support it, split the income. I think last year was about $5,000, so about $2,500 to the leader dogs for the blind, and about $2,500 or 50% goes to our Bay County Animal Services and Adoption Center. So I want to thank my fellow Lions and Sandy and everyone who's worked on that the first 4 years, and say that we expect hopefully good weather and a good turnout, and again, raising a little money for a great cause here in Bay County.
Thank you, Jim.
I'd like to add to that, the Lions will also contribute money for adoption of the animals.
Well, we could, it's up to you and Sandy and those of us who work on it. I don't think they've done that in the past. I think in the past it went toward veterinary bills, but I think it's our discretion probably. And Matt might want to give an update on, too, the kind of uptick we've seen. We continue to see an uptick in the number of pets, especially dogs, being dropped off. With the inflationary impact on food for their pets as well as veterinary bills, some families are having to surrender their pets. But you want to give an update for the board?
Yeah, we've been getting a couple adopted each week, but about 4 more coming in off the streets. So it's been an ongoing thing. We're about at max capacity. This event might help. We're talking about doing $50 dogs, kind of like we do for Empty the Shelter. We're in talks with that. We will have pets for adoption at that event, the Pawpalooza. But everybody's staff's doing a great job over there. We're doing everything we can. We got some walking events this Friday, appreciation, and getting a lot of volunteers, a lot of donations too. So the public's been great. It's just, it's hard to find the homes when Midland's giving them for free and Saginaw's pretty discounted rate too. But we do have some people sponsoring dogs. We have four businesses sponsors of fees. So there's 4 dogs that their fees are free right now that we update on our website. And pet of the week is $50. So we're doing everything we can to have some promotions. And God bless businesses got up and donated fees for 4 dogs. So we're looking forward to this event. So thank you, Lions.
And if you look in there, we have sponsorships in there from $125 all the way up to, I think, $1,000, $1,500. That includes your name on the board and all the other stuff they're going to put. So it'll be nice if we have more participants involved. So thank you, everyone. Okay, is there any other announcements?
Hey, Dennis.
You're up, Dennis.
Yeah.
I'm up. Oh, motion to adjourn.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, say none. Meeting's ended. We'll have a 5-minute